Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to the Light and Shadow podcast. Whether this is your first visit to our circle or you've been walking this path with me for many episodes, I honor the quiet courage it takes to press play. Because forgiveness is tender terrain. I'm Grey, Reiki Master, Seer, and Soul Alchemist, your guide in this sacred space, where we do not bypass pain, we alchemize it into power. Before we dive in, a gentle but essential reminder. This podcast is a spiritual and energetic companion, not a substitute for therapy or medical care. Now, if you feel called to walk deeper with me, you'll find the link below to every layer of support I offer. The Grey Ethereus Academy, our mystery school, for those ready to master shadow alchemy and energetic sovereignty. The Light and Shadow Sanctuary, a private group space for weekly soul work and community, and one-on-one intuitive coaching, private sessions for tailored, heart-centered guidance. You can also meet me every day on TikTok at Grey Ethereus for micro teachings and daily reminders that you are never alone on this path. Today's journey is about forgiveness as freedom. Forgiveness not as erasure, not as pretending nothing happened, but as a sacred act of unhooking your soul from resentment's gravity. We will talk about why forgiving is not the same as condoning harm, how to release the energetic cords of anger, betrayal, and disappointment without forgetting the truth, and practical rituals and daily practices to live inside the frequency of forgiveness, where your past can no longer define your present. Because forgiveness is not weakness. It is a quiet revolution inside your heart. It is the art of setting yourself free, while keeping every lesson and every boundary intact. Take a slow breath with me now. Feel the weight you have been carrying, maybe for years. Know that this episode will meet that weight with compassion and a path to release. The transmission begins here. Before we can step into the frequency of forgiveness, we have to reclaim what the word really means. Because many of us were taught a version of forgiveness that isn't forgiveness at all. Maybe you were told, forgive and forget. Or if you really forgave, you'd reconcile. Or just move on and be the bigger person. But those ideas confuse forgiveness with denial. They ask you to minimize harm, to erase the wound, or to welcome back someone who hasn't changed. That is not forgiveness. That is abandonment of self. True forgiveness does not require amnesia or reunion. It does not mean pretending the hurt never happened. It does not mean granting access to someone who still causes harm. Forgiveness, in its sacred sense, is liberation. It is the energetic decision to stop letting another person's action or your own past choices occupy the driver's seat of your life. It is a process of unclenching the heart so your future is no longer dictated by yesterday's wound. Think of it as unhooking. Unhooking your nervous system from constant replay and resentment. Unhooking your energy from the person or situation that keeps siphoning your peace. Unhooking your identity from the belief that you are only what was done to you. Forgiveness is a boundary, not a bridge. It says, I will no longer carry the weight of this pain inside my body. I release the right of this story to define me. That choice can happen even if the other person never apologizes, never understands, and never changes. Forgiveness is an energetic frequency. When you choose forgiveness, you are tuning your whole field to a different vibration. Anger and bitterness are heavy. They contract your capacity to receive joy and creativity. Forgiveness is lighter. It opens space for love, opportunity, intuition, and abundance to move again. It is not a single event. It is a frequency you keep choosing. A daily practice of loosening the grip of resentment and recentering your life around freedom. Forgiveness does not excuse the behavior. Forgiveness reclaims the power that was always yours. Even when the heart longs for release, the mind can build walls of resistance. These walls are often shaped by cultural myths and inherited stories about what forgiveness should look like. Let's name and dissolve some of the most common ones. Myth 1. If I forgive, they'll think it was okay. This fear assumes that forgiveness is a free pass for the one who caused harm, but forgiveness is not approval. It's a statement of personal sovereignty. I refuse to let what you did keep writing the story of my life. You can forgive and still hold accountability, maintain healthy boundaries, or even pursue justice. The two are not opposites. They can coexist. Myth 2. I cannot forgive until they apologize or change. This belief keeps your healing chained to someone else's growth. But true forgiveness is one-player work. It begins and ends with you. You can release resentment even if the person never understands, never admits fault, and never changes a single thing. Their evolution is not a prerequisite to your freedom. Myth 3. Forgiving means forgetting. No. Forgetting is amnesia. Forgiveness is integration. It means you remember with wisdom instead of reliving with pain. The memory stays, but the change softens. You carry the lesson forward without dragging the wound with you. Myth 4. If I forgive, I must let them back into my life. Forgiveness is an energetic release, not an open door. You can close a chapter with love and never invite that person back. Forgiveness draws a clear boundary. I wish you healing, but I keep my distance. When you start to see these myths for what they are, cultural conditioning and protective illusions, the possibility of forgiveness begins to feel different. Less like surrender, more like reclamation. It stops being about excusing someone else and starts being about liberating you. Forgiveness isn't only a thought or spiritual idea. It is a psychological state. When resentment lingers, your body carries it like an unhealed wound. Every time you recall the hurt and feel the same anger or grief, your nervous system doesn't know it's a memory. It thinks the event is happening right now. Stress hormones surge, muscles tighten, your heart rate quickens as if you are still in danger. This is why old pain can feel so alive years later. Over time, that unprocessed tension can show up as chronic fatigue or tension headaches, digestive issues or tightness in the gut, sleep disturbances or racing thoughts at night, and a constant low hum of anxiety or irritation. Your body is literally keeping the score on unfinished emotional business. On an energetic level, unforgiveness behaves like a block in your field. It's a knot of dense vibration that interrupts the natural flow of life force energy, the chi, prana. This can manifest as feeling heavy or stuck in certain areas of life, in love, abundance, or creativity. Repeating patterns with different people but the same pain. Difficulty trusting or receiving love even when it's safe. What you resist emotionally, your energy holds onto physically. This is why forgiveness must be embodied, not just spoken. You don't just decide to forgive, you practice it with your breath, your movement, and your presence until the charge begins to release. Simple but profound tools include grounding breathwork to calm the nervous system and signal safety. Heart-opening practices like gentle chest stretches or self-massage to invite softening. And energy-clearing rituals such as Reiki candle work or salt baths to move stagnant vibration. These are not extras. They are how forgiveness becomes real in your body, transforming a mental concept into living freedom. Forgiveness is more than a decision of the mind. It is an alchemy of the soul, a sacred transformation that changes the frequency of your entire being. True forgiveness does not mean excusing harm, forgetting what happened, or letting someone back into your life. It means you release the energetic cord that keeps you tied to the moment of injury. You stop letting their action or your pain be the author of your future. You forgive to set yourself free, not to make the other person comfortable. When you let forgiveness move through you, what was once heavy becomes fertile. The wound stops being a place of reactivity and starts becoming a well of wisdom. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to see what strength it uncovered, what boundary it clarified, and what clarity it gifted to your heart and path. In this way, forgiveness transforms pain into spiritual insight, alchemy in its purest form. Forgiveness invites you back to the higher I, the part of you that existed before the story of harm. It reconnects you to your divine essence, where love is not a transaction but a state of being. From this place, you remember that no action against you can diminish your worth. You see that your soul is larger than any wound, and you walk in the quiet authority of someone who is free. This is forgiveness as liberation, not erasure of memory, but release of bondage. Forgiveness is not an inner decision, it is a practice. It is a way of working with energy, the nervous system, and the heart, so that freedom moves from idea to embodiment. Here are some practices and rituals to enter the frequency of forgiveness. 1. Breathing. Sit quietly. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. With every exhale, silently repeat, "I let go of what is not mine to carry." This signals to the body that it is safe to soften. Forgiveness begins with nervous system safety. 2. You can book a cord-cutting ritual to seal the energetic lesson. 3. Write a letter to the one who hurt you, whether you ever send it or not. Include in it 2 parts. Everything you need to express, like anger, grief, or clarity, and a final sentence of release, such as, "I bless you to your own path, and I free myself to mine." When complete, read the letter aloud to your higher self, or burn it as a closing ritual. 4. Forgiveness is not only for major betrayals. Practice it daily. When you feel irritation with a stranger, when you slip into self-criticism, and when old memories surface. Breathe and whisper, "I release, I return to peace." This keeps your field light and uncluttered. 5. Anchor in a new identity. Close each practice by affirming who you are beyond the wound. Here are some powerful affirmations. I am free, whole, and sovereign. I walk in the vibration of love and truth. No one's action defines my worth or my future. Remember, what follows I am becomes the architecture of your reality. With these embodied practices, forgiveness ceases to be an abstract idea. It becomes a living frequency, a daily act of courage and self-liberation. Beautiful soul, you have just walked through one of the most radical acts of spiritual power, the choice to free yourself without forgetting. Forgiveness is not a performance. It is not a handshake over harm or a rewrite of history. It is a frequency of liberation, a daily vibration where your nervous system, your heart, and your soul agree. I release what is not mine to carry. When you forgive in this way, you don't condone, you unhook. You reclaim your life force from the story that once defined you. You give your future back to yourself. Now is the time to ground what you have opened today. Pause and breathe. Let your body register the lightness that follows letting go. Name the new identity. Whisper, I am, that matches the freedom you now embody. I am whole. I am sovereign. I am free to create a new reality. Practice release in small moments, so resentment never accumulates again. And remember, forgiveness is a spiral, not a straight line. Some memories may resurface. When they do, return to your breath, your candle, your affirmations. Every time you revisit the practice, the cord grows thinner, the heart grows stronger. In our next episode, we will explore how to live with emotions not as enemies to control, but as messengers of insight. We'll look at why emotional intelligence is more than just managing feelings, how to understand, interpret, and channel emotion into clarity and compassion, and some daily practices for deepening empathy without losing your boundaries. This is the natural evolution after forgiveness. When the heart is free, it becomes capable of listening to its own language with a new depth and wisdom. As always, if today's transmission moved you, you're invited to go deeper with me at the Grey Ethereus Academy, my private mystery school where shadow alchemy, energetic mastery, and soul sovereignty come alive. One-on-one intuitive coaching. This is personal guidance for your unique path of release and reclamation. Reiki-infused candles and sacred tools, allies for your cord cutting, heart clearing, and manifestation practices, and the Light and Shadow Sanctuary, our weekly community space for live teachings and support. And for daily reminders and practices, join me on TikTok at Grey Ethereus. Beloved, the choice to forgive is the choice to return to your own wholeness. Let today's breath be the seal. The past is complete. My heart is free. I am ready for the wisdom ahead. Until next time, stay in your light, stay in your truth, and know the magic is already within you. You are more powerful than you know. Until next time.